Hi everybody. All right, so this is the beginning of the self-portrait project, and you can kind of see that I have a mirror set up here. I have everything set up so the camera can see exactly what I'm doing. I probably would make adjustments at home by myself if I didn't have a camera watching or documenting what I'm doing here. But I have it's pretty close to how I would set up, just it's not that different. First I'm just going to show you, this is my drawing surface, this is my Canson paper that has the tooth to it. Again, if you don't have the paper, you can use a sheet of your regular drawing paper. There's not much of a tooth to it. It's not going to, it's going to act a little differently, but you can still work with the medium. But I'm going to use these two sheets today to practice drawing planes and to kind of give you, and I want you to do the same thing. So you're just going to get one sheet of paper and cut it in two. So I'm just going to put one sheet down on the floor, put one sheet here. I'm just going to tape it right on top. And I'm going to talk about how I have things set up in a second. Let me just tape this up. I'm just taping the corners because I'm going to throw this out when I'm done. Again, this is just practice right here. All right, so I have that done. The tool you're going to use now is just your Willow Charcoal, not for the main drawing, just for this, because we're just going to do a quick outline stuff. And you're familiar with this, so you don't have to think about a new medium. And it's fast, it's immediate. That's kind of what's nice about this charcoal. So this is the Willow Charcoal. I have a piece right here. I'm just going to use my little tiny piece. And the other thing I want to establish here is, talk about your mirror. You want a mirror that's somewhat substantial. You can see your whole face in it. Don't use a compact mirror. You can hardly see your face. Don't use something super small. At least 12 inches to 15 or bigger. You definitely want something substantial. So this is just, I think I call them a dorm room mirror that you would put on the door and you pick up at Walmart for $5 or something. I had this floating around in the house somewhere, and so what I did is I stacked these books and whatever the cement box here, and then behind this I have a stool on the table. You can probably see the feet of the stool right there on the table, and that's what the mirror is leaning on. So you're gonna have to kind of conjure up some way of allowing you to see yourself in the mirror, sitting down and having your drawing board right next to it. In addition to that, you also want lighting. And I've been debating on, personally, because we're going to use color, so I'll explain that in a minute. But I have lighting on the wall behind here. You can't really see it, but it's up behind there. I'm just going to angle it up just so you can kind of see it. Kind of see how I have those clamp-on lights there. Oops, sorry. And okay, I think I'm good. I was going to shine a clamp-on light, which I did. It kind of was blaring in my eyes. It was hard to see, and I was like, I don't know if I want to do this the whole drawing, but it did create some shadows. And I'm going to turn it on to show you guys what it looks like, because the stronger shadows that are on your face, easier it is to draw when there's not much of a shadow variation on your face. So like one side's not dark, one side's not light. And it's all the same. It's going to appear washed out when you're finished. It's especially when you're starting something that's new in terms of the self-portrait. It's easier to have a contrast of value within the face. The more advanced you get, the more you can pull out and pick up and see within the face. But so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to walk around, turn the light on, and show you. But in this case, what we're doing right now, we're just prepping. We're just putting our planes down. It doesn't really matter about the lighting just yet. But I'm just going to turn it on. You might as well get it set up and just kind of have that established. So if you do have some form of lighting in the house, like a clamp-on light, try to use it. If you have, if you're next to a window and the natural light can come in and shine on one side of your face, definitely use that. But then again, you can only draw during the daytime. If you have lighting that comes from the ceiling down, and it casts and it casts shadows, and there's value variation there. You can use that as well. So there's a lot of options that you have. I'm just going to try to show you as much as you have. So the other thing that is super important is when you set this up, see how close my drawing board is to the mirror? It's probably like a couple hands away. I'm going to turn my body toward here, and you can kind of see me in the mirror. My nose is about that close to my cheek. This is the 3/4 turn I was talking about. You want to do the 3/4 turn. So you look straight ahead, and then you turn your head that much of a direction. I guess you could call it a 1/4 turn if you subtract the 3/4, whatever. Half a dozen, 6, all the same. So once you have that, then you want to be able to look at yourself and look at your drawing without moving your head. So you don't want to just draw and then look at yourself like this and then draw, because you're drawing from memory. You're never going to get anything right. You want to look at yourself and hardly move your head, because the second you just do this or this or this or this, you have 6 different viewpoints, and it's your one eye's going to be bigger, one's going to be, nothing's going to work out. So you really have to focus. You have to make yourself a good model. If you're drawing from observation from a model, and the model's constantly moving or falling asleep or whatever, it's not a good model. You can't draw because it's not accurate. It's all different viewpoints. So make sure you're doing the same. So what I usually do is I look at my nose, and I look how close it is to my cheek, and it's a small distance, and I try to line that up. Or that's probably the best way to do it. If you have to tape a place on your mirror to know where your nose goes or whatever, so you can come back each time, that works as well. So what I'm going to come back to this in a second. I'll start to draw, but I'm just going to turn on the light and show you about lighting, and then we're going to start to draw. Hold on a second. So that was a clamp-on light, and I'll try to show it to you. I just want to lose my angle here. You can kind of see it shining, right? I have 2 clamp-on lights there. You see it shining, but if you look at my face now, as compared to before, it's well lit. It's there's more contrast there. So if I'm looking like this, and you can see me, the left side of my face is light, the right side of my face is dark. But there's also this really cool shadow contrast. That's because my nose is casting a shadow on the side of my face, and there's this kind of nice organic line that starts to form there. I like that, and I think I'm going to keep that. And the closer your mirror is, the more you can see of the subtle variations within your face. And much like drawing the fabric, which is a really good preparation to drawing something like your face is very complicated. There's so much there. It's organic, it's symmetrical, kind of, sort of, but you turn your head and it changes. There's a few rules to abide by, which I'll get into in a minute, but other than that, it's basically breaking it down into shapes, and then breaking those shapes into smaller shapes and smaller shapes and smaller shapes. And we're going to deal with color, so that's a whole other issue too. But we're thinking about warm and cool, but that's for later. For now, I want you to practice drawing planes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to focus here, and you can see me through the mirror, and I'm going to talk as I'm working, and hopefully this works out. All right. So first I'm going to establish how high I want my head and how high I want my chin, or how low I want my chin. My chin might go here. Maybe I'll just do that. So I'm establishing the height of this and that. I'm not measuring, I'm just kind of establishing. And you can measure, but I don't want you to measure too much in the beginning, because it's going to slow you down tremendously. I just want you to kind of work fast and get through this concept quickly. So I'm going to go back to where I was. The left side of the face I want here, because the right side of my face is bigger. It's going to be probably to here. And so what I did is I just kind of gave myself somewhat of a rectangle, just like a loose rectangle, just kind of and then I can measure that. I'm just trying to find something to measure don't have anything right now, but you could measure that and compare and just see if this is about the same. Okay, so I just don't have a pencil with me to measure. From there, then I'm going to do this kind of like round curvilinear line. And this is probably what you've been wanting to do for so long in this class. It's like everything's so structured and geometric and straight line construction. We're going to get back to that, but we can, now that you know those rules, you can start to slowly loosen up. And then I'm going to throw another one back here. Okay, so that's the back of my head. This is the side of my face. But again, my face is not that curved. There's a lot of straight lines. I'm going to get into that in a second, but I'm just kind of establishing the head itself, the overall head, just generalizing. It probably will shrink up. It might get bigger. I don't think it will get bigger. It probably will shrink up, but I definitely want a little space here so my head's not touching the border. And I have plenty of room down here for my shoulders, although they're not. That's fine. I'm just going to do that for now. Next thing you're going to do is you're going to divide your head in half. If I could draw a line right down the center of my head, part of me wants to do it. It would be like right here. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to bring that all the way around. And you know what this is? That is an ellipse up. That's why you practice that so many times, because it exists everywhere. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to divide from here to here, actually I expand it out, in half. So that's about right here. The halfway mark is where your eyes are, always. From the crown of your head to the chin, eyes are always in the middle. That is a rule. I don't care who you are, that's how it is. So what I'm going to do now, because I'm looking straight on at myself, I'm just kind of making a little bit of a curve, something like that. All right, so I did all that preparation just to bring it to this point here. Once I establish these cross points, which is right here, I'm going to start to build my keystone, and then my nose plane, and then the eye socket bones, and I build it within here because I have my proportions somewhat set because of the overall height versus width. So, and I'm looking at my eyes, I'm looking at my keystone, and I'm looking where my nose meets my head, and it seems to be meeting right here, which is right in the middle of my eyeballs. So that's where my keystone will begin. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to do that little shape. Doesn't look like much, but that little tiny shape right there, again, is the bridge of everything. And you've practiced this with your own portrait just to kind of warm you up. Now you're going to practice again with charcoal, warm you up even more. And then after that, the angle of your nose. So you could sight that with your finger, just like I'm doing now, and then you just bring it there and you're like, oh, my nose is kind of more of an angle, isn't it? Okay, good. Now, where does the nose end? This is something that's really interesting. This distance between the chin and the bottom of your nose is equal to the distance between the bottom of your nose and your eyebrow line. And from your eyebrow line to your hairline. So it's 1/3, 1/3, 1/3. So it's pretty quick, easy to say, like, this will be my hairline-ish, hopefully. It's kind of receding though. And if I were to say, what if my nose ended here? 1, 2, that looks good to me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to end my nose about right there. Okay? And then draw a line straight up. So already I have kind of a nose established. And then I can start to think about my eye cavities. So here's one eye cavity here. Goes in, goes out, down. Cheekbone. Eye socket. Our eye sockets are big holes in our head with eyeballs coming out. But if you were to smack yourself in the face, it would hit the bone first and protect your eyeballs. So that means our eyeballs are sunken in to our head. And therefore, when the light hits our forehead, it creates shadows under our eyes. That's how it works, unless the light's shining directly in there. But you can see how much darker this eye is compared to the forehead here. But we'll worry about that when we start getting the value in. Now I'm going to do the other side. So I'm basically following my eyebrow line, which is pretty easy because it's straight up and down. It goes on an angle. Everybody's is a little different. So I'm just following the eyebrow line right here. And I'm going to bring it in right here. And then right here is where I'm going to put a dot. That's my cheekbone. And that's where I'm bringing this dot here. And then, just like this cheekbone, these two cheekbones should line up to one another. I'm just going to take this off so I don't forget. And then I'm dropping a line down. I'm not going to go as complicated as I did with the other drawing because I'm just establishing plane shifts where my eye sockets are, the nose. The mouth is going to be in here somewhere. I'm not too concerned about that yet. I'm just kind of throwing it in. Chin. So it's just like this straight plane. And then from there, I'm going to take this guy here, which goes up. This guy here that goes up. Actually goes up and over. So this goes up. So I'm just going to make a line here. This over, make a line here. And to be honest, that's about it. I can kind of throw in my chiseled jawline. That was a joke. I can throw in my jawline, which I can't even see because of the beard here, but I'm just gonna like rough it in, just pretend it's there. Can throw in where the ear would go. Ear would go there probably. And it's somewhat established the way I want it to. So this is a planal structure. And what you're going to do after this, when you use your your Conte crayon, you're just going to use something dark because we're drawing on a light sheet of paper. And then we're going to apply value to the darker areas, but you're going to just exaggerate them to dark and light. Just keep it dark and light, and then you can think about middle tones later on. So for now, since I have this established, before I do anything else, I think I'm just going to throw my neck in there. That's it for now. And then I think my ear goes here, this goes here. Just so you know, the ear line where the ear begins is the line, the central line that goes through your eyeballs. Your eyeballs are going to be here somewhere, just so you know, but that looks really funny and weird, so I'm going to take that out. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to turn my charcoal on its side, and then I'm going to start to fill in areas that are kind of dark. So this whole cavity I'm just going to fill in. This cavity I'm going to fill in too, just to get a sense that that's dark. The side of my face, I'm filling in. The side of my nose, I'm filling in. So already there's a sense of light and dark. Where the light source is coming from my left side. I'm drawing during the daytime, so there's windows on the other side. And then of course this is going to be dark too. And it just kind of goes into the hair, the ear, and all that stuff. This will be dark as well. I forgot to bring a paper napkin with me, but I'm just going to use my hand. So if this was a charcoal drawing, I would tell you to load this up with charcoal and then start using your kneaded eraser and subtract the light as well. But what I'm going to do on the left side, because this is going to be a light value, I'm going to make it darker. And just by doing that, immediately I have a generic head, like using myself as a vehicle. And there's a light source here. There's dark on this side. These are plane structures. There's also, you can't see it, but there's a shadow under, because I have a mustache, there's a shadow underneath my nose. It's going to do something like this. And then there's going to be a shadow underneath your lips. It's going to do something like this. But that's, you can get there later. For now, this is the rough in. And this is as far as I want you to take the practicing part. So what I'm going to recommend is do that again. So you have this down, this practice down 2 times, and watch this video again in the beginning, just see what I did in terms of measuring, find the center point and all that stuff. And then we're going to take this off, and then we're going to go for real on the main drawing. Now, in terms of composition, don't worry about creatively composing this. Don't worry about an extreme zoom in where you're just kind of like framing this. That's, once you learn how to draw the self-portrait, you can kind of get into that stuff. You need to learn the rules first. A couple other things before I forget. Remember the 1/3 rule that I said here, here, and here? 1/3, 1/3, 1/3, which is from the chin under the nose, from under the nose to the eyebrow line, which is right here, right above your keystone. And then from the keystone to your hairline. Not the top of your head, but your hairline. They should all equal and be the same. But a couple other things. Your eyes, like for example, if I want to just, the eyeball would be probably like right here, right? If I were to drop that down, the corner of my mouth is going to be right in line with that. Corner of my mouth is going to be here. And if I were to drop a line here, the other corner of my mouth is going to be here. So the mouth kind of goes down and out that way. Corner of the nose lines up with the corner of the eyes. A few things, and I'll talk about that as well once I get into the main drawing. But for now, this is a starting point, and then we'll go from there.